friends, and welcome to the very first podcast of the Wichmann Co Podcast, a small business podcast. And whether you are here to grow your business, maybe you're just starting, build powerful connections, or just getting inspired, maybe you want to take your next step. We're here for you. So you're in the right place. And today's episode, we're going to talk about something that every entrepreneur at some point will come across. And I chose this to be the first episode because it's kind of like the basic of everything. And we all hate it because it's called money, budget, bookkeeping. Nobody except my guests like it. So I'm joined by Heather Hanson. She is a bookkeeper and an automation expert and small business champion for sure. And this is her first podcast, FYI. And it's my first episode. Just saying. So we'll see how this goes. Welcome to the show, Heather Hanson. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. Can't complain. I may have to add too that if you see me do this, it's probably because there is a bad thunderstorm going on outside when we record this and some loud thunders. And I'm just waiting for the lightning sometimes. I hope the power keeps up here while we do this. So yeah. But
Same
Heather,
here. I hope we're in the lull between the storms here. So,
we're both in the DFW areas. We're kind of like the same thunderstorm system, I guess. But yeah, let's pray this works out anyway. Heather, tell us a little bit about who are you, what do you do, and why are you so passionate about budget, money, and yucky stuff like
well, so like she said, my name is Heather Hanson, and I'm just mom, and a wife. I have 4 kids. 3 of them are out of the house. One is still at home, and
you go on. I
oh,
didn't
I'm
say
sorry.
anything.
I thought you said something. And I started my business back in 2020, right before COVID hit, I believe it was. Um, because I was homeschooling my daughter because she has a lot of health issues. And so I was wanting to be more available for her and not have to be, doing somebody's books from the hospital next to her bed like I had been doing. So I actually started my business as a virtual assistant business. And then I've just kind of niched down because I always ended up doing the bookkeeping for my clients because that's a lot of my background was executive assistant and done bookkeeping since 1994. So a long time. I enjoy the numbers. I find them to be very fun and challenging. Every day is different. So yeah, I just have a passion for helping other moms in their small business because I know most moms when they start a business, their main purpose is to be able to spend more time with their families. And their bookkeeping and their finances are absolutely the last thing they want to do. So to be able to just take that off of their laps and allow them to be able to do the things that they need to grow their business and be there for their families. It's really just what makes me tick.
Right. But I think that many entrepreneurs and people that start small businesses fear this part of the small business and the entrepreneurship, finances, money, and they tend to like avoid it altogether. What do you think is the root of that? And how can someone begin kind of like changing that relationship?
Right. Yeah. So honestly, I think a lot of it just comes down to fear of the unknown and lack of confidence. Most entrepreneurs are incredibly passionate about their craft, whether it's coaching or making products or just running a service based business. But very few start out with a financial background. And so they feel like they should just naturally know how to manage their money. And when they don't, then they feel ashamed and overwhelmed. And unfortunately, that shame creates avoidance. I see it all the time. People tell themselves stories like, I'm just bad with numbers, or I'll just figure it out later when I'm making more money. But later never comes, and it just snowballs into anxiety and, even financial mistakes. So, really, the way to start changing that relationship is with small, judgment free steps. I always tell my clients that you can't shame yourself into a better financial future, and that you have to start from a place of compassion. And so, I always tell them, pick just one tiny daily habit, like reviewing your bank account once a week, not with a magnifying glass and not with judgment, but just to see what's going on. Or maybe just set up a basic income and expense tracker in a Google Sheet. It's really about building a relationship with your money, not a performance review. And then over time, these small actions add up and the fear loses its power. And then you begin to realize that finances are just information and they're not really a reflection of your worth or your abilities as a business owner. They're simply data that you can use to make better decisions.
Absolutely. And I follow Natalie Dawson on social media. She said one day something that I started doing that has helped me more than I ever could imagine, because that fear that small business has absolutely applied to me too. But she said, start your day when you've taken your coffee and you like the first thing you do in your business day, check your account and see how much money you have there, because that makes you more confident in what you are dealing with, how much money you have, what you can spend, what you expect to get in, etc., etc. And my first thought when I heard her say that, I think it was on TikTok, was like, oh, that's uncomfortable. But I started doing it and it was real life. It wasn't that uncomfortable. I felt more in control over, like, now I have this. This is what I spent yesterday. And this is what I'm expected to come into my account today. And I think that is something that alleviated my fear or uncomfortability with what actually was on my checking account. And that's both for me privately, personally, and for my business.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
And I think, as you said, a lot of people don't have any finance background. It's just something that comes with being an entrepreneur and being in business, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I have followed you on social media for a little bit now. I always do that. I almost is a stalker. You talk a lot about automation and system making life easier. And what are some practical tools that we can strategize and even most tech adverse person can use to get started?
Okay. Gosh, I am a huge fan, as you can tell from my social media, of using systems to make life easier. Not just in business, but in your personal life. And I definitely want people to know that you do not have to be a tech wizard to start putting systems and processes into place. So, like for your bookkeeping, QuickBooks Online is one of my favorites because it's a very user friendly. It connects to your bank accounts, it pulls in your transactions automatically, and you just have to categorize them. So you don't have to manually input every expense. And that is a huge time saver for business owners. And then if QuickBooks feels intimidating to you and like, oh, this is too much, I can't do it, then setting up a folder in your Google Drive labeled by the month and year, and then snapping photos of your receipts on your cell phone and saving them there. And this is a good form of automation that's about making it easier for your future self. Another simple system that I like is using your bank's automatic bill pay feature for those recurring expenses that are the same every month and don't change. So then you have no more late payments, no more scrambling to get it paid in time. And so, that one time setup can save you hours of stress later. And then my absolute favorite thing is using a calendar app like Google Calendar. I use that for my business and my family. I make all my kids download it onto their phones and they have access to our family calendar. Um, And I've finally gotten my husband to use it now too. But I just recommend, blocking off a recurring like Friday finance or finance Friday every week. So just take 30 minutes to review your income and expenses, send invoices, and pay any bills. And then it's like having a little financial date with your business. And then when you automate that time into your week each week, it just becomes, like a routine. It's just something that you do, like checking your email first thing in the morning. And so then you stay more productive and you can be proactive instead of reactive. So really the key is to just start with just one simple system, let it become a habit, then add another one. Don't try to do all the things that I mentioned at one time. Because overwhelm is what happens when you try to automate everything at once. So just keep it simple, one thing at a time, and add that thing, master it, and then move on to the next.
I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but I'm not sure that my mic picks up. That my dog, I have a Dalmatian, he's laying at my feet and he's barking in his sleep. That's he's laying at my
That is funny.
so that's why I started laughing at because I was thinking like, oh my God, does this come into the noise now? So if anyone hears that, that's what
I
it is.
didn't hear anything, so you're probably good.
Maybe it doesn't, but that's why I started jiggling in the middle of it. It's not even money related. Bit of her dog sleeping at her feet. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
How we are. Yeah, routines. I am a routine person. Like I have my systems and routines, and if I don't do it that way, especially my morning routines, like do not mess with my morning routines, or this day is going to be screwed badly. So I think that the people doing that is a good thing. Something that I also get a question of is how do I always get so much done in a day? And when it comes to you said Finance Friday, what I do every night when I go to bed is that I already know exactly what I need to do in what order I'm going to do it the following day. So
Right.
that makes me have kind of like a mental goal planner in my head. And I know when I've done this, I've done what I need to do. And on Fridays, just put that in your goal planner of like, I need to set off 30 minutes and I do it at this time when I've done XYZ or however your day plans. Put that into your daily routine. I put
Right.
in my daily routine to check my bank account in the morning so I know
Mhm.
how good
Yep.
slash bad it is.
Right. Well, and if you see it tends to if you see it on your calendar, you're gonna do it. Whereas if you don't have it written down on a paper calendar or in your digital calendar, you're gonna forget about it and, not even think about it.
Right. And now you've started your own business here. How long time have you had this business? You said, I think
It's been about 5 years.
5 years. Yeah. Yeah. You started it right before COVID. That's what you said. So you work with a lot of other small businesses. What are the 2 to 3 mistakes that you see small business owners making when it comes to bookkeeping, and how can they course correct or correct that quickly?
Right. So there's really a few basic things that almost everybody does. The first one I see is mixing personal and business finances. And this one creates so
Eh,
much chaos so quickly. And when you're doing that, you can't clearly see how your business is performing if you're using the same debit card to buy groceries as you are to order your business supplies. Plus, when you're at tax time, it's just a nightmare for you. So, a quick fix there is to open that separate business checking account today. Even if your business is brand new, start off with a separate business checking account and then keep your business income and expenses completely separate. And it's going to make your bookkeeping and your taxes so much easier. Plus, it's going to protect you too legally. The second mistake I see people making is that only thinking about their finances during tax season, which I cannot tell you how many people have messaged me just in the last month because taxes were due on the 15th. So if you're only looking at your finances once a year, then you're just flying blind. And you really have no idea how profitable your business are, where your cash is going, or if you can even afford to invest in your business. So a quick fix for that is to set a monthly or even a biweekly financial check-in. And that doesn't mean it has to be a big deal. You just pull up your reports, glance through your expenses, make sure everything looks good, and then stay connected with your numbers all year. That's going to help you to grow, not just survive. And then the last one I would say is miscategorizing transactions. So when you're randomly selecting expenses categories in QuickBooks, or worse, you don't even categorize them at all, then you risk missing out on tax deductions and you lose track of where your money is actually going. But if you take the time to set up correct categories up front or work with a bookkeeper who can do it for you, then you're going to have clean, consistent categories, meaning better reporting, better decisions, and lower taxes at the end of the year. And then at Hanson Ledgers, we help clients clean up these mistakes all the time. So it's never about making someone feel bad. It's just about giving them better tools and better peace of mind about their business and where they're going.
I have to ask something that I just hit my mind now when we're talking here. How about budget? Putting a budget for the year versus monthly, how can that help you both like getting through the financial part of your business and also achieve your goals?
Right. So if you have a budget laid out at the beginning of the year for the whole year, then you're going to know ahead of time, hey, I want to do these vendor shows in September, or I want to attend this conference in October. And so you can plan for those things ahead of time, not only for that extra expense, but also, more than likely you're going to be losing time when you're attending these things, working on things for your clients. So then you can, work ahead or have someone else on your team, handle a project while you're gone. And so it's very important to budget for your whole year at the beginning of the year rather than just doing it flying by the seat of your pants or doing it, month by month, just like it's good for your personal finances to, have a budget kind of laid out and planned out for the year. So you know what you're going to spend and when you're going to spend it.
Right. And guilty as charged. I think I did a budget on my first company.
Hmm.
And I've had a bunch, and I've done it now on this Wichmann Co. just because I felt like I need to have a little bit more control. But I've had a bunch of businesses in between where I literally just felt like I don't have the time to do it.
Right.
And then I come into 2/3 of the year and I'm like, crap, I should have done it. And I'm
Yeah.
not to learn the lesson for the next year. So
Right.
and I think that many times it can help you to also keep expenses on track. That this is what I can allow to do. Am I correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of people, I saw this on a lot on Instagram, like towards the end of last year, around the new year, that couples would take a weekend away to go over their budget and finances and goals and plans for the whole next year and kind of map it out. And, we really should do that for our businesses too, not just our personal lives. That funny week between Christmas and New Year's is a great time to do it because it's right before the beginning of the year. And there's usually not a lot going on in the world, during those funny couple of days between the two times. So it's a good time to just carve out some time and get that budget set up for the next year.
Right. It seems like it's also you're kind of though exhausted from Christmas and all the stress, but you're in the same time empowered about the new year coming and everything that involves.
Exactly.
Because it's like, oh yeah, New Year's coming. I can do this. Woohoo! New goals, new me, new everything.
That's right.
And then just have like, okay, if I have my money planned out, what I'm gonna spend, what I wanna do, and where my goals are, it doesn't it gonna just help me.
Right.
have
Yep.
mindset. So when we say mindset, what's a powerful or business belief, powerful money or business belief, I should say? If you have to unlearn your journey, and maybe redo something, what would you replace it with?
I think
What
one
would you say?
major thing that I have had to unlearn was that I have to do everything myself. And if I want it done right, then I have to do it. And so that's not necessarily true anymore. Like in the early days of my business, I wore all the hats. I was the bookkeeper, the marketing, the admin, the client support, the tech setup, everything. And so I was working hard, but just spinning my wheels. And I felt like, progress. I felt like I was making progress, but I was really just burning out. And so the belief I replaced it with is that strategic support creates substantial growth. And so
Well,
when I started delegating, outsourcing things that weren't in my zone of genius, investing in tools that automated busy work, then everything changed. I had more energy for the things that actually grew my business. I made better decisions because I wasn't drowning in busy work. And then, now it's whether it's investing in a bookkeeper like Hanson Ledgers or hiring a VA or just using better systems and processes. I know that smart support isn't expensive, it's a multiplier. So for anyone listening, I just want you to know that if you're trying to do it all yourself, know that asking for help is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself as a business owner.
I think you really nailed it there. Because one of the things I think that many small business owners and entrepreneurs think and believe is that they have to. They are required to be able to manage everything themselves, and to ask for help or outsource something is quote unquote failure. Maybe not a failure, but it's not what they want. They need to be able to juggle all the balls at the same time, and that's not how things work. In the finance, AI is such a big thing today.
Yes.
Yeah. A year ago, I was absolutely against ChatGPT. I could not see any purpose with it. Today, ChatGPT is my best friend. I have to admit.
Once you learn how to use it right and ask it the right questions, it's great.
Exactly. But AI for me has during the last year and a half been a big thing. How has that helped, or I don't know what to say, helped or shelped your business, and how do you see AI helping other small businesses through the bookkeeping and finance world?
I
Do you use AI yourself?
So I don't use yes, I use AI myself. I don't use it for the finance part of my job because those you kind of have to do yourself. You can set up automations like in QuickBooks so that, if you have a charge that comes in from Quick Trip, you always know it's gas. And so it always, if it sees Quick Trip, it knows that it's a fuel expense and that's done. But I find that when I'm using AI in my business, honestly, it's more for social media
Right.
because I love numbers and I am a very specific and technical person. When it comes to being creative, I'm terrible at it. I am absolutely horrible at being creative. And so I have learned how to use like Chat GPT to help me with my social media marketing and my content strategies and
So
emails, that I send out to my clients and things like that. I found the Chat GPT has a brand strategist. And so you can put all the information in there about your brand, and then it saves that information so that anytime you ask it to do something, it does it along the ideas of your brand and the voice of your business and things like that. So that has really been helpful for me.
yeah. But I can see that within the bookkeeping world, it's not much AI can do.
Yeah, there really isn't.
That's kind of interesting. AI is missing out.
I was listening to my husband earlier before we got on here. He was doing a job interview with AI. So he gets on a video call like this, and the AI person asks him questions and he interacts with the AI person, and then they ask him another question based on it's very strange, very strange.
That sounds
Yeah.
interesting, like doing a podcast with an AI. No, thank you. That's not personal.
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, he says it's very weird talking to a computer.
You won't get any barking dogs in the podcast for sure for that. Or thunderstorm. Oh, yeah, exactly. I was like, no. But yeah, it's interesting that there is a field though that AI yet has to incorporate a little bit more than it is right now.
Right,
Bookkeeping and finances seems to be one of those places. I bet there are more places that I'm just not thinking about right now. So
right.
if
Yeah.
if someone is listening and thinking, I made such a mess of my books and there's like no saving it. I can't save it. I can't do it. I just want to start over from the beginning, redo everything. It's a shit show, literally. What's your message? I feel like I'm soon about to be one of them.
Right.
We all feel that way at some point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you suggest to them? What's your message to these?
So I think, first of all, just take a deep breath. You're not alone. You're not bad at business, and you're not a failure because your books feel messy. You know, at Hanson Ledgers, we see messy books all the time, and it's just part of the journey, and it's not a sign you should give up. I like to think of finances just like anything else in business. They can be cleaned up, sorted out, and systemized with the right support. Whether you've mixed personal and business expenses, you've reconciled your accounts, you haven't reconciled your accounts in a whole year, or you don't even know where to start, there's always a way forward. We specialize in financial cleanups and QuickBook cleanups because we believe in second chances. And we believe that every entrepreneur deserves financial clarity, no matter how long it's been or how messy it feels. And I'll tell you a secret: once you finally face it and get support, you'll wonder why you waited so long.
Bye bye.
There's so much peace and power and possibility on the other side of financial clarity. And so my message would just be, it's never too messy. It's never too late. And the best time to start fresh is today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that we come back a little bit here to fear, um, just not knowing where to go, how to start. Because if you think about it, just because you're an entrepreneur, if you start a business out of an idea of a problem to solve for a person or what you want to do. Part of money is usually not like it's not what you get in school, really. Not when it
Right.
comes to business budget. Is a complete different thing than your personal thing. You can figure that out because it's returning bills a lot of it. But business is
Uh-huh.
different. You don't come with that knowledge unless you're having that as a hobby,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Right.
You're more focused on why you're starting a business and your idea and your product than figuring out the money that comes second, third, or fourth in your plan, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Then we have all this with the financial reports. I hate them. I hate them with passion.
What
Can
is it?
you financial reports?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate them. I hate them with passion. And can you explain why are they so important? Why are they so critical in running a business?
So, one of the biggest game changers that I see for business owners is when they finally have access to clear, up to date financial reports. So, you have to think of your financial reports as like your business's health checkup. You know, they tell you what's working, they tell you what's not working, and where you might need to pay a little extra attention. But too often, business owners avoid looking at their numbers because the reports feel intimidating or their books are just a mess. And so that's where I come in. We focus on cleaning up your books and creating streamlined, easy to read reports that actually make sense. So you're not just running a profit and loss for tax season, you're actually giving your monthly insight into um, showing you what your business is really doing. Are your marketing efforts bringing in results? Is one service consistently outperforming your others, or where are you overspending? So, with clear financial reporting, you're not operating on your gut feelings anymore. You're making data driven decisions. And that can mean the difference between a business that just gets by and one that's thriving. One of my clients once told me that before working with me, she avoided her financials like the plague, which most business owners do. But once we set her up with her organized books and we started reviewing monthly reports together and actually explaining them to her, she really felt empowered. And she actually looked forward to our meetings because for the first time she understood what her numbers were telling her. And that's the kind of transformation that I live for and why I do what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say, like, you can really be empowered by it if you use them in the right way.
Yep.
Reports gets me to cash flow. Cash flow is make or break a business, right? Especially
Absolutely. Yeah.
especially in the early stages, and you probably need a little bit of cash flow to even start. What are some practical habits or tools that you'd recommend entrepreneurs and small business owners that starts up to really stay on top of the cash flow and kind of like avoid unpleasant surprises?
Right. So I think that cash flow is one of those things that sounds pretty simple. It's how much your money is coming in and how much is going out.
Right.
But it's often one of the most misunderstood and neglected part of running a business. I work with female entrepreneurs all the time that are making a decent revenue, yet they still feel broke. And so I have to explain to them that their cash flow isn't just how much money you make or how much money you're bringing in. It's about when the money is coming in and how consistently it comes in, and then how it stacks up against all the money going out.
Yeah.
So when you don't handle your cash flow, things get really stressful really fast. You're consistently worrying about whether you can pay your bills or pay yourself. You might even put off investing in tools or hiring the support that you need because you don't know what you can truly afford. And so it becomes a cycle of uncertainty that can really stall your growth as a business. And so at Hanson Ledgers, we like to prioritize cash flow tracking from day one. We like to help clients map out what's due, what is expected, and how to plan for those upcoming costs. And so we look at payment cycles of your clients, recurring expenses, and even seasonal trends so that cash flow becomes a strategic, I almost said stool, strategic tool. My mouth is getting dry. Not just something you scramble to understand when things feel tight. So, one client I worked with has a fantastic business model, but she always tended to be behind on paying herself. So, once we cleaned up her books and created a simple cash flow system, then she really saw exactly where the gaps were. We spaced out her bill payments and implemented client paying policies to set up a buffer in her account. So now she's not just surviving month to month, but she's got a plan. She's paying herself regularly and she's confident in her financial decisions. So having control over your cash flow really gives you breathing room and it gives you peace of mind. But most importantly, it gives you options, and options are everything in business.
Yeah. And we have a lot of just to pick which one we wanna use, right? Well,
Exactly.
thank you. You're right, right. Thank you, Heather. What I've learned from today, among other things, because 'cause we've talked about a lot of things, you need to reach out to get that help. And I know
Yeah,
that I believe it, at least that I know that a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs are so scared of something you don't really need to be scared of. I think it's a little bit if I compare, going to the doctor and you're embarrassed about whatever you're going to the doctor for, you're embarrassed to go to the bookkeeper and or the CPA about your books because it's so messy, not thinking about
exactly.
what they do. This is what you do. You see it every day, you know how to fix it. And there is nothing to really be embarrassed about per se. And you absolutely don't need to have fear. You just need to start and you don't
Yeah,
need to be alone.
that's
Get that
right.
help at the beginning. And I think that a lot of anxiety will go away. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And then just finding the tools that works for you. And I think it like you as a bookkeeper knows all the tools that are available. Because just when you start, or even if you've been in a business or you need to rebrand yourself, whatever, you don't really know what tools there are available for you. And do you have the time to really investigate it? Maybe just go to one person who already knows it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Anything else you would like to add before we finish up here today?
I just want to encourage your listeners to not be scared of taking that step, not being scared to ask for help and to reach out to somebody to take that off your plate. It's a small expense, but it can really buy you back. I'm sorry.
It's worth the expense.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. And it can buy you back so much time, so much peace of mind. So you lose, what's the word I'm looking for? Get rid of that anxiety, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Because it's anxiety that you really don't need to have because there's so easy help for it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank
Like
you
I
for
used to
joining
have anxiety over social media, over my social media post. And then, I found a way to,
social media. Your social
well,
media
thank you.
very informative, and I've learned a lot from it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, she's right about that. And yeah, I
Well,
like
thank
your
you.
social media.
I try. It's been a struggle, but
So be sure to check out our show notes because you'll find Heather's social media there and her website and her email and all information so you can connect with her and get your business back on track if you feel like that. There's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be afraid of. And think of what you can accomplish, not having to deal with books. Just leave it to somebody else. Send the receipts over every month. Doesn't that sound kind of
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Heather, for joining me today. I appreciate it. You did great on your first podcast, and I hope
Thank
that
you.
I can listen to you in more podcasts in the future because I love listening to other
Thank
podcasts
you
as
so
well.
much. Very kind.
And as always, we will be back in 2 weeks. And I know that we are going to talk about websites in 2 weeks. Yep. And they know something about AI. I can tell you that. They use
Yeah.
it way more than we do in the bookkeeping world, that's for sure. But as always, keep speaking out loud, networking smart, and always grow. Have a good day and see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.